All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first day of MDE 54. So hopefully all of you, at least most of you, were in the Math 161 course this morning, either the 8 a.m. or the 9:30 a.m. Assuming you were, you're going to see a lot of the same information. You will hear some new stuff as well, but you're going to hear a lot of regurgitated information when we talk about the syllabus, when I introduce MyMathLab and how to get into it. If you weren't in either of those, make sure that you go back and watch the recorded lecture. If you go into the Canvas course of Math 161, you will find a YouTube recording of what we just did, and you can catch up that way. So this course, like the 161, was supposed to be in person, but thanks to Omicron being pretty insane in terms of how easily it spreads, we're going to be doing this on Zoom, maybe for a week, maybe for a month, maybe all semester. I have no idea. We are at the administration's whim. So we're going to have to keep our ear to the ground and see what happens. So be on the lookout for emails about whether or not TCC is going to extend all the Zoom sessions or not. Once I know, I will also email you as well. I was really looking forward to doing this class in person. I'm hoping that we do get to go back to being in person, but if we have to be safe and stick on Zoom, we will make the best of the situation because it's all we can do. So we're going to talk about how this course is going to work, how things might end up changing by the next class a little bit potentially. Talk about how to enroll in MyMathLab, show you what the Canvas course looks like, show you what MyMathLab looks like, show you some examples of homework problems, all that good stuff. We'll talk about how this relates to MTH 61. The first thing I want to mention, as you should have received in an email, is that you are 100% required to enroll in the MyMathLab course for this class by 5 p.m. tomorrow, or you will be deleted. Now, here's the thing, as an MDE student, first of all, you should be my Math 161 students. You should either be in my 8 a.m. or my 9:30 a.m. Math 161 class. If you are in someone else's 161, you are not in the correct MDE 61. These are supposed to be linked courses. You need to find out what day and time the appropriate MDE 61 is for you, and then enroll in that instead. Or if you want to join my Math 161 classes, the 8 a.m. today or 9:30 a.m. today, you're welcome to do that as well. Just knowing that if we do go back in person, that you would have to do so. I know some people right now are a little worried and would rather stick to Zoom. And if you want to do that, maybe you need to sign up for a strictly Zoom class, not one that has like a room number A105 like we would be in, maybe, hopefully, maybe not, I don't know. Now, you have to enroll in both the Math 161 course ID, sorry, the Math 161 course using the ID I provided you at 8 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. and in the emails and in Canvas. And then you also have to enroll in the MDE 61 shell using the course ID right here. Now, if you enroll in one but not the other, it's not good enough. You will be deleted and withdrawn from both courses. So if you only enroll in the 161, you're going to be gone. If you only enroll in the 61, you're going to be gone. You have to do both. It'll take you about 5 to 10 minutes to do the first one if you have to create an account, and then to do the second one, it's only going to take you about 30 seconds. So I'm not asking a lot of you, but I need to know that you're committed for the rest of the semester. I need to know that you're going to be putting in the effort. Okay. So make sure you have this written down. Again, you will see that in Canvas later. It's in the syllabus. It's in lots of good locations. I actually want to go ahead and talk about a few things in here as well. This is my 161 document, just going to make 1 or 2 changes. Don't really need all of this stuff. Okay. So you are in this course because someone told you, or you feel that you are a little rusty with the prereq material for this course, or maybe you've never seen it before and we're just throwing you to the wolves. If you've never seen this stuff before, maybe you need to be in MDE 10 or MDE 60. Enrollment is definitely a weirder process at TCC now with this direct enrollment stuff, but again, this is something I have no control over. So if you feel like the material we're doing starting next class is already above your head, maybe you need to go back a step. But you need to understand that you've got a very, very, very large time responsibility being in 2 math classes, being in 6 credits of math in 1 semester. So the normalized rule of how much time you should spend outside of class is for every 3 credits in class for a fall spring class, you should be spending 6 hours outside of class in addition to the lectures. So you should be watching the lectures for 161, you should be watching the lectures for 61, and then you should also be spending 12 or more hours a week studying and doing homework for these 2 courses. Maybe you're spending 9 hours on the 161 and 3 on the 61. Maybe it's 6 and 6. Maybe it's 8 and 4. Maybe you need to spend 15 hours and you're spending 10 and 5. I don't know. But you are supposed to commit a lot of time to these 2 courses. You need to understand that you have a major responsibility for this. You've got a lot of time and effort to put into this. Now, there's not going to be a ton of required homework for this course. In fact, right now, the shell doesn't have that much homework in my opinion, and I'm going to try and change that. There's a possibility I might have to just make a new shell altogether. So be prepared for that, and I'll have an email for you with the new shell if that happens. And I apologize for that, but when I got the master shell off of someone, I didn't realize how empty it was in comparison to the other courses. It was kind of a surprise, and I only got this like 2 days ago. So I got kind of thrown to the wolves here, and I'm teaching 21 credits. So I don't have a ton of time on my hands to have to make this stuff from scratch. So I'm hoping to resolve this situation quickly, but if I have to build it as we go throughout the semester, I will. So maybe you're spending 6 hours during the week studying, maybe you're spending 6 hours during the week doing homework, maybe you're spending 10 hours doing homework and 2 hours studying, I don't know. But that's where you should be with your math. So if I go in my math lab and I find that you've only put in 3 hours worth of work into both courses over the first 3 or 4 weeks, that's a problem. That shows that you're not committed to doing anything. And your attendance is going to be tied to homework completion as well, especially if we stick to this Zoom stuff here. So if I find out you're not doing any homework, then I do have the option to withdraw you. Make sure you're taking good notes. Make sure you write down everything we do in lecture. With this class, a lot of the time what I'll do, with 161, it's just straight lecture. I go over notes, I give examples, and then I run through them. I don't really give students time to work on the examples on their own because we just don't have that much time, unfortunately. But with MDE 61, we slow things down, and some problems I will just go through, but then other times I will show the example or show the problem, give you 3 or 4 or 5 or how many minutes to work on it, and then go over it. So things will be a little more loose in this course. I don't have as rigid of a lesson plan, and that's because I tend to base it off of what we did in 161 for the day. So if we were talking about quadratics a lot in 161, I might spend more time factoring in this course. If we spent a lot of time doing graphing quadratics in 161, I might spend just more time doing that, more practice to kind of reinforce the concept. So it's going to depend. Make sure you're watching these lectures. If we go back to in-person, make sure you're showing up for class every day. I will not have recordings of in-person classes. I'm not going to take the insane amount of time to do that. I don't own a camera anyways. And I really don't want to have to watch videos of myself. Not a fan of that. And no one does that for in-class. This is actually the first time I've taught MDE 61, which is why I don't have a good shell made, like I said, why I'm trying to figure out something over the next day or two to kind of get a boost. So I don't have any previous recordings from semesters, so I will be doing this all live. So if we ever have to miss a class, we just miss the class. So that is what it is. But with the Zoom recordings, with the Zoom sessions, I will put up anything on YouTube and have it linked to Canvas. It'll be easy to find. I'll show you where it'll be soon enough. All right, syllabus. So we would be in room A111 Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11. If we go back to in person, which I hope, but I can't promise. My office phone number is here, but I can't use my office right now. I'm not sure if I'll get to this semester or not. Office hours are still to be determined based on everything that's going on. My email address is here. This is the best way to get a hold of me outside of class, rbeckner@tcc.edu. I do respond within 1 business day. So if you email me on a Monday, I'll get back to you by Tuesday. If you email me on a Friday, I might not get back to you until Monday, depending on the time. I will sometimes check my email on the weekend. Sometimes I don't. It just depends on my situation. You can also email me through the Canvas email system. I don't always remember to check that one every day. I have 3 different TCC emails I have to check. So the primary one gets checked every day. The others are kind of hit and miss. So it might be 2 days or 3 days sometimes before I get back to you if you email me on Canvas. But I've gotten a lot better about checking it. A year ago, I wasn't as great. Now I tend to pop it up almost every day, every work day. Prereqs MDE 60 or a co-req of and a co-req of Math 161. So you were supposed to have, quote, placed past MDE 60, even though there is no placement. It's just you talk to an advisor. Maybe you look at your transcript, maybe you don't. Kind of a weird system, but it is what it is. It's not my, what's the word I'm looking for? I have no say in it. I have no control in it. I hope it works long term. Required course materials, you do have to purchase that MyMathLab Access Kit. The cool thing is you only have to purchase it once. You don't have to purchase 2 kits for 161 and 61. These are a combined course, a combined text. So if you purchase it for 161, when you go into your 61 course, the MDE 61 course, this one, then everything's going to be paid for already. So again, you do not have to buy 2 kits this semester, just the 1. You should have a graphing calculator. We will be using those about halfway through the semester. If you don't own one, I can't exactly tell you how to find it online via Google, but if you Googled TI-83 online calculator or download TI-83, I'm sure you could find a link that would take you to one. You'll see my digital calculator. So that's free. And for legal reasons, I can't necessarily tell you how to get it because it's free. I don't know if Texas Instruments would come after me or not, and I like my job. Pencil, paper, of course, internet for this course, for at least for now. Weird. What are we going to be doing? Well, the topics are basically the same thing as 161, but also with a lot of prereq material as well. So we're going to talk about simple solving of equations. We're going to get into bigger equations to solve. We're going to talk about polynomials, how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide them, how to factor them. We're going to talk about graphing lines. We're going to talk about graphing quadratics. We're going to talk about graphing polynomials. We're going to get into rational functions and their asymptotic behavior. We're going to get into exponentials and logs and inverse functions, difference quotients, systems of equations, Gaussian elimination. We'll try to get that far, but no promises. But this is, again, a co-req class. Basically, we're going to try and teach you at the last second the stuff you should already know for the 161 class, or when we already have enough of that information, we'll reinforce the ideas from the 161. Same issue with the syllabus from 161. This is not lined up perfectly, so ignore how the weeks don't line up with the actual sections we'll be covering from 161. It's not a huge deal. There are no tests for the MDE 61. The only assignments you have in here are homeworks. Once again, the only assignments we have in MDE 61 are homeworks. You have tests and homework in Math 161, the other class. You only have homeworks for MDE 61. The cool thing about this class is as long as you do all the homeworks and you pass Math 161, you also pass MDE 61. If you fail Math 161, you're going to fail MDE 61 automatically. So it's you either pass both or you either fail both. There's no in between. If you stop doing the work in one, you'll be withdrawn from both. It doesn't matter if it's you stop doing work in MDE 61 or you stop doing the work in Math 161. If I find it's been 4 or 5 weeks and you haven't done anything in one of these two, I will withdraw you. If you haven't done anything in both, I will withdraw you. and a withdrawal from one means a withdrawal from the other. That's very important to understand. So the grade policy, like we just said, there is no real official grade for this, no A's, B's, C's, D's, and F's. It's a pass or a fail. So it's an S if you pass, and then if you fail, it's an R or a U, which is essentially the same thing. It's just for enrollment purposes. It doesn't really affect anything on your transcript, whether you receive an R or a U. So if you miss more than 4 classes, we're supposed to withdraw you, which I don't have an exact homework number currently because the shell really needs to be built. There's only like 4 or 5 homeworks in there currently, which is ridiculous. So that makes it kind of difficult. I want to have smaller individual homeworks. So I'd like to say there's going to be about a homework per day or a homework per class. So basically, if I make it a weekly homework, that means you could only miss 2 or 3 homeworks. If I make it a daily homework, it means you could only miss 4 or 5 homeworks before you were withdrawn. I don't ask that you hit any specific grade besides getting a C or better. So I do want you to earn a 70 on the homeworks. Not that, not that. What am I looking for? Here we go. You need to earn a 70, not 78, on homeworks to pass / count as attended. So if I see all your homeworks have 20s and 30s and it's 6 weeks in, you're going to get withdrawn. If I see you've got 80s, 90s, 70s, 100, and then 1 or 2 20s and 30s, that's fine. If I see you've got 80s and 90s and 6 or 7 20s and 30s, that's not fine. There are no official due dates for homework, but I suggest doing them 1 week of material being covered. So I would say, all right, we just did a bunch of stuff with factoring. Try out the homework that says week 2 or week 3, however they might be labeled. Again, I'm having to build this shell on the fly. I didn't realize I was going to have to do that. So the naming conventions will be told later, but I will announce in class which homeworks you should be working on based on what we covered for that day. So when is everything due? Technically the end of the semester, but that doesn't mean you can wait 7, 8, 9 weeks to start doing your homework, because again, if I find that at any point you're missing 3 weeks worth of homework, I'm going to withdraw you. So I'll give you about a week's worth of slack. Anything that we've covered from the past week, I wouldn't count as a problem. But if we're 5 weeks in, 6 weeks in, and you've only done 1 homework assignment, that means you've gone past the point of no return and you will be withdrawn. So you need to keep pace. Being 1 or 2 weeks behind is okay. Being 5, 6, 7 weeks behind is not okay. Keep pace, please and thank you. Course communication, we already talked about. Attendance, we've already talked about. I will take roll if we switch to in-person classes, but because of the nature of Zoom, I don't actually take roll for the live classes. I do want you to attend the live one if you can, but we also understand that not every student has access to internet 24/7, so you might have to just watch the YouTube replay, and then I can't tell that you watched the YouTube replay, and I would just be trusting you with blanket statements. All right, Mr. Beckner, I watched it. Because I didn't see your name up there. So I don't really think it's fair to count attendance that way. Some teachers might disagree with me, but it is what it is. That's why I just link it directly to homework. Plus with math, if you're not doing the homework, how are you going to pass the class, especially if you're in this direct enrollment co-requisite class? Some people would call this a developmental class, but we don't really use that word anymore, I guess, even though it's MDE. There's a lot of repeated stuff in the syllabus. You keep seeing this 15% thing for attendance. Attendance can and will be counted as completion of homework assignments. That's in the syllabus, and I will use that. Literally the same thing repeated right here. Again, I don't know why it's listed twice. That's why these things are 17 pages long instead of 2 or 3 like they used to be. Late work, makeup work, we've already really talked about that. While there's no official due dates on the homework for this class, there are no exams at all for this class. I do expect you to be turning in the homework within 1 to 2 weeks of completing the material for a lecture. So if you're 2 weeks behind, not terrible. If you're 3 weeks behind, not the end of the world. I'm not going to withdraw you over it, but it's when you start hitting that 4 and 5 weeks behind that you're going to get withdrawn. And you might say, oh, well, I was doing some problems from each of these, Mr. Beckner. Why am I going to get withdrawn? Well, you have 20s on all your homeworks. That's not good enough. We said we need to see 70s on them. Classroom behavior, please don't insult each other or me in the chat. Let's all behave in the chat. When we go back to in person, let's have a nice quiet environment. We'll be inclusive, all that good stuff. Inclement weather, emergency conditions. If there's any kind of snowstorm, we'll get emails about it. Any other tornadoes, whatever, we'll get emails about it. Set up TCC alerts if you have not. You can find that through TCC. You can see the little link right here, although that might be more of a pain for you to use. So just Google TCC alerts or go to the website and find it that way, but it's definitely helpful. If I ever have to cancel class, if we're in person, I try and call up there and let the division know. So that way there can be a note on the door. If I have to cancel 161, it's probably going to be that 61 is canceled as well, unless it's just something in my schedule, like a doctor's appointment I can't avoid, which I generally try to avoid double booking teaching and appointments outside of class. I'm pretty good about that, but sometimes you can't help it. But yeah, if I like wake up sick one day, if I cancel 161, it's pretty positive that 61 will be canceled as well. I will try and shoot out emails to everyone about that. But if you're in my 8 a.m. class, you might not be getting the email in time if you're checking your email at like 7 a.m. and then heading to school. If my internet is ever down, it could be down for just one of the classes and not both. Sometimes it's down for 5 minutes, sometimes it's down for an hour, usually about once or twice a semester. Hopefully not during class, but it is what it is. So if there's ever a time where I haven't made some announcement that I'm not going to be holding class, and there's been new emails and you're like, oh, I'm on Zoom, but Mr. Beckner's not started the class and it's 15 minutes after. It's probably because my internet's having an issue. There might be a time where just class ends all of a sudden on Zoom, and that's because my internet had an issue or Zoom crapped out, whatever the case might be. And sometimes if it's Zoom's fault, I can get back in immediately. Sometimes I can't. We'll figure it out as we go if that happens. Why is there a whole blank page? That's just silly. Withdrawal policy. Like we said, if you get withdrawn from one course, you get withdrawn from both automatically. You can't, when you're enrolled in MDE 61, you cannot be unenrolled from one but not the other. They're linked. You pass one, you pass both. You fail one, you fail both. So if you want your tuition refunded, you need to withdraw by January 25th. It's like you were never here. If I withdraw you for not enrolling in MyMathLab, same thing, it'll be like you were never here. Then March 21st is the W deadline. So if you want W's instead of failing grades, you need to withdraw by March 21st. If you withdraw after that, you will receive failing grades automatically, or if I withdraw you after that, you will receive a failing grade automatically, unless you have some extenuating circumstance, like you already heard me joke about you were moving to Canada or about to have a baby or something like that. Academic integrity, I don't know that most of this really applies to this course with plagiarism and academic misconduct, since it's all homework, and I encourage you to work together on the homework. If you want a homework study buddy, go for it. But just remember, in the 161 course, when it comes to testing, that needs to be your own work, and you'll need to show your own work in that course for those tests. Educational accessibility. I should receive these documents eventually in an online group, an online page, website, whatever. If you would like to email me and let me know that I should have an accommodation form for you, that's fine as well. And then, like I said, in 161, when it comes to test time, if you want to remind me, it would be appreciated if you remind me if you have some test accommodations the week or class before. That way I make sure to set it up just while I'm getting used to the swing of things. If you feel like you need Sorry, something's going on. If you feel like you need an accommodation, but you don't have any TCC documents, you're going to need to contact Educational Accessibility. Here's their phone number, because I can only accommodate you with their specific forms. Emergency procedures, nothing too crazy while we're in Zoom, but if we do go back in person, fingers crossed, bomb threats, tornado threats, fire threats, anything like that, we'll have administration and security telling us what to do, where to go, et cetera, et cetera. Title IX, we love you all equally. We will not discriminate in any way. The library will open up eventually, hopefully, and their hours would be posted outside of their door. Tutoring Center, AKA the Learning Resource Center, will be available over Zoom no matter what. I'll have their hours in a week or two and the link for Zoom that I will email to everybody for their Zoom tutoring. If we do go back in person, they should also have in-person tutoring as well. They do good work and it's free. And if you're in this course, I definitely highly advise you checking them out. They make appointments, they do walk-ins, Zoom-ins, whatever you want to call them. Because I know that I can only help you so much in class. And that's pretty much it. The one thing I'd like to add, there is another important website that's pretty cool, Khan Academy, as well as purplemath.com. I can speak for the first one. I actually gave you some links in the 161 course to a couple exercises from Khan Academy. I've only ever looked at Purple Math for like 5 minutes in the past few years. It's been recommended to me. It's on my bucket list of things to check out, but I've heard good things. So these are great websites if you still just find yourself struggling after reading the textbook, after doing the homework exercises, after watching the lectures. Maybe check them out and see if they're any assistance, because just because something doesn't work one way for you doesn't mean someone else can't help you. All right, and then a whole bunch of other websites like the academic calendar, the library link, student handbook, TCC catalog, the educational accessibility website, all that good stuff. And that's the syllabus. Let's check out the Canvas course. Not a lot in here right now. Probably not going to be too much that we add to it either. So here you have the pre-day one email. So if you didn't see that, if you click that link, it'll take you to this blurb. So this is what I emailed everyone yesterday. If you enrolled in this course since then you wouldn't have received the email. So if you enrolled after like 3 p.m., 4 p.m. yesterday, maybe 2 p.m. But this is just a copy of the email. Make sure you read it. Make sure you know your responsibilities. Here is that course ID again, Beckner 12171, to enroll in MyMathLab, which we'll show you in just a few minutes. And then here are the links to the live lecture, as well as, at least for the first week after those classes are done, the YouTube links for the recordings. And like I said, if we Zoom for 3 or 4 weeks, you'll have 3 or 4 weeks worth of recordings. If we Zoom all semester, you'll have all semester's recordings. But once we go in person, the recordings will stop. And I don't have any recordings for MDE 61 in existence since this is my first time teaching it. So you wouldn't be able to find those resources on YouTube anywhere. You'd have to go to another student and say, hey, can I copy your notes? All right, so how do we enroll in MyMathLab? Go to MyMathLab.com. You will click register now as a student. It'll tell you the 3 things you need. The third one is actually optional for now. You will need an email address, and you will need your instructor's course ID, the Beckner 127 blah, blah, blah. Okay, register now. This is where you'll enter the course ID, which our specific one was Beckner 12171. Since I just had it on the screen, I will use ours. I know I didn't for the 161s. Click continue to register. Now, if you already created an account for your 161, you can just log in right here, and then everything's linked. If you already paid for the 161, then you've paid for the 61. If this is the first one you're doing, then you'll have to hit the create account button. You hit the create account button, you'll enter your email. It will automatically make your username your email address, but you can change that if you want. And for your email, it should be something like, if you're using your TCC one, jbob0001@email.vccs.edu. I do not care what email address you use. If you want to use your Gmail, Hotmail, AOL mail, whatever, use one that you check regularly. Sorry, I'm stretching and yawning. Oh. But if you get this email address wrong, you're going to have a problem, because when you then go to log in with the right email address, it's going to say you don't have an account. And then you're going to email me, and you're going to email their tech support or call their tech support and deal with that. And they're going to say you don't have an account, and I'm not going to be able to help you. And that's going to suck, especially if you paid for an account that you don't have access to. So please make sure that you get this right. It is a giant hassle otherwise. It can get fixed, but it takes people days to get this stuff fixed if they get it wrong. Please be serious and get it right. Make a nice secure password, upper case letters, lowercase letters, numbers, symbols, not just love my dog or anything like that. Write down your username, write down your password. That way, in case you lose this stuff, you have it somewhere. If you forget it, that is to say. First name, last name, security question, security answer. Click all the appropriate boxes here for yourself, at least the I agree to the terms of use. And then once you're done, you'll create your account. Now I can't go to the next screen, but I do have it drawn up essentially. Here. Nope, not this one. This is what the next screen would look like. If you have already purchased your course materials and you have not entered them for the 161, this box in the top left, you can use the code, that's the 25 letters and numbers and symbols and whatever it is. I think it's just letters. If you want to buy the code directly from the website instead of the bookstore, and some people have said they've had issues with the bookstore this week, maybe it's not open, whatever, and I think you'll save a little bit of money, then you can buy the code directly from MyMathLab, from Pearson. I believe it's a little cheaper as well. You can use a credit card, debit card, or PayPal, but you can't just shove cash in your computer, so no cash this way. That's the only advantage of the bookstore. But most of you, I imagine, will be clicking down here, which is the 14-day free trial button. And this is going to be smaller font, smaller so that you might not see it. And it's going to be a blue hyperlink. So you'll click that for your 14-day free trial. So you'll have 2 full weeks of being able to work on the homework without having paid for it yet. But after those 2 weeks are up, you're going to be locked out of both your 161 and 61 courses. You can still log in, but you can't get into the course materials, which means you can't complete the homework, which means even if you're attending classes, you're not doing the homework, which counts as your attendance for participation side of things. And after a couple of weeks, I'm going to notice, oh, they're not doing homework. It's time to withdraw them. So if you cannot purchase this code for whatever reason, then you need to withdraw yourself sooner than later so you don't end up losing yourself money. I don't want you to lose money. I'm sorry that there's a paywall. I'm sorry that you have to pay for this code. There are other campuses that offer the open educational resources where it's free using different websites. I'm a bigger fan of MyMathLab, so I like that Portsmouth sticks with this, but it does suck that you have to pay for it. In fact, I believe the OER resources that Norfolk is using, or maybe it's Virginia Beach, you have to pay for now. It's just cheaper. It's only like 20 bucks instead of 75 bucks. You do not need to buy the physical book for 161 because there is an ebook. The same ebook that's in 161 is in the 61 shell. They're the exact same. So what does it look like when you log into MyMathLab? Well, you start out on this page, and you'll spend most of your time on the homework and quizzes tabs, possibly some time on the EText, possibly some time in the gradebook. I don't do anything with the study plan personally. You can check it out. You can do stuff in there, but honestly, I haven't looked at it too much and I'm not going to. There's already enough material to have to handle. So right now, the way this is set up, it's very different from anything else I've ever dealt with. When you go to homework, you'll see these green flags next to everything and some due dates that I need to adjust. Don't worry, I will adjust them. Chapter 1 skills review homework. You click it right now and it says, oh, you can't do it. You have to do the skills check first. The skills checks that are related to each of these are over in the quizzes tab. So before you do a chapter's worth of homeworks, you have to take a skills check over here. And there's one for each chapter. So you can open the skills 1 check. And And you'll see, oh, a 20-foot ladder is placed, blah, 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 blah. And maybe you get every single one of these wrong. Maybe you get every single one of them right. It doesn't really matter. Just going to type some answers. 5. Let's get this one right. X squared minus 4x plus 4. -2 squared. That's -4. Whispers, it's not -4. It's actually +4. This is wrong. We'll talk about that later. Not today, another day. Ooh, this is some weird stuff. Pass. Ooh, factor by grouping. I don't know that. Pass. Square root of 54. There's no number times itself that equals 54, so you can't take the square root, can you? Well, that statement is partially true. This is simplifiable. We'll get into that later in the semester. Maybe we think it's like 4. It's definitely wrong. And then let's submit. You have not completed it, submit it anyways. All right, so I got a 1.5 because I only got that one question right. Go to results. So then you're in your homework. I'm sorry, your grade book. Now if I go to my homework, I have access to the homeworks now. And you'll see that there's a lot of problems in these. So this is why I am trying to make this shell look very different. That whole, you got to get a 70 on everything, and there's only 4 assignments doesn't really work for this. So what I want to have is a bunch of smaller assignments, whether I have someone else that I can kind of lean on for that and copy over their assignments, or whether I have to make them as we go, we'll figure it out. Or if not, if I do decide that these are perfectly fine, then I will adjust my policy and say, I just need to see you complete like 10 to 20 problems a week, maybe something like that. So that policy of getting a 70 or higher will be drastically different if we stick to just these 5 assignments, okay? Because it's going to take you a very long time to get a score of 70 on this with there being 120 problems, basically. So again, this might look very different in a week. We might actually not use this shell at all in a week, depending on how things go. So just bear with me for this first week while I'm figuring that out. Again, I didn't know. I had put in a request to get this shell a couple weeks ago, and I didn't get it until 2 days ago. And then I saw it and I went, oh, that's not what I expected. This is unlike any of the other MDE or MTH shells that we use. They're usually lots of small assignments instead of just 4 or 5 big assignments. So hold off on doing anything, at least for today. I'm hoping to have this issue resolved before next class so we can talk about this at the beginning of the next class. So don't do any homework or quizzes until next class. Again, don't start working on the homework in here until next class, because I can't even guarantee that we'll use this. It's a 50-50 in my head. Your EText. Click view the EText. And I wish they had tabs for this based on chapters, but they don't, but it's not too bad to navigate using this button right here, this navigation button. You have your table of contents, and you can, scrolling made that weird. So let's say I want to go to chapter 2. There we go. I'm at chapter 2 using the table of contents, or I can pick a page number based on navigation. Well, I want to see what's in 2.4. On 2.4. There we go. I'm in 2.4. That's not too bad. Pretty quick. You can also use the left and right arrows on your keyboard, I believe. Yes, you can. One of my classes, you can't for some reason. I don't know why. All right. So that's your EText. I might reference the textbook occasionally in class, but probably not too often. I usually will just be writing notes on a blank Word file while we're doing Zoom, or the whiteboard if we're in person. Oh, there is a chapter contents tab down here. That's weird. This is, I have never seen someone have the EText and then a chapter contents tab. I don't like this shell. I mean, it's fine. It'll do the job if we have to, but let's, like I said, we'll see by Thursday what we're going to do, whether it's use this one and build on it or start from scratch. And by the way, if I didn't mention, I did mention the 161, but for the zooming, I do keep all my students on mute because just technology issues, microphone issues, distraction, background noise. I'm very, very, very easy to distract and then lose sight of things for a minute or two and to get back on track. So it just works a lot better if I have my students answering questions in the text chat, which I just sent a message on right now. So you can either send messages to me privately or to everyone. It's weird. Some classes, everyone sends open messages, and then I'll have some classes where almost every single person sends PMs, like one or two of you have done today. I don't know why, but sometimes people just want to talk privately, and that's fine. But I will answer the questions in chat either verbally or typing, just depends on the situation. But again, I really, really hope that we go back to being in person. I can't tell you how much I was looking forward to being in person after 2 years of only teaching over Zoom. So this was disappointing to me that we had to start this week this way, but again, we have to be safe, and I get it, and we're going to do whatever the administration tells us to do. But again, my hope is that we're going to be meeting in person next week, or at least soon enough. But I will certainly adhere to the rules, and we will deal with and experience the Zoom class if we have to. So if you're disappointed with having to do this over Zoom, I feel for you. But like I said before, we have to make the best of our situations. We have to accept that there's things out of our control and not get angry or sad over them, and just grow and be better people by dealing with situations and what's the word I'm looking for? Adapting. We have to adapt, because if we don't adapt, we become dinosaurs. But I miss seeing everybody in person. I miss talking to people face to face. So adapting to this wasn't easy for me, which is why I said I really feel for you if you didn't want to be in a Zoom class. But again, I have adapted. I've learned from it. So yeah, if you don't have any questions, I don't really have too much to add to this. Again, besides just really reinforcing that. What is your one responsibility before the next class, before 5 p.m. In fact, tomorrow, you have to enroll in not just this MyMathLab course, but the MyMathLab course for 161 for that 8 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. class. If you weren't in my 8 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. class, if you're not enrolled in either of those, you either need to switch into them so you can be my student for both, or you need to drop this class and enroll in someone else's 161 and 61 combo. Again, they are supposed to be linked. I think when I looked at the roster, I saw everybody's names correct, that they were in both. But I do know I also had 1 or 2 students enroll since I did that cross-referencing. So I'm hoping that that was correct. And this is a pretty small MDE. There's only 7 of you. So please, please, please feel free to ask individual questions when we're doing problems. I know it can be a little more intimidating when there's 20 students and you feel like you're really halting things. But I do want to try and form this class more around your needs at times. I'll be coming into class with specific goals in mind, but a lot of the times I will also say, hey, is there something that anyone individually needs to work on? I might be able to do that for everybody each day. I might only be able to do it for a couple people each day, but we'll try and, oh, Mr. Beckner, I think I need more practice with factoring. Okay, let's do some more factoring stuff today. And I might think I need to do 10 problems on graphing lines, and I get to the 5th one and I ask, does everyone feel super comfortable with this? And everyone does, and then I'll adapt on the spot. I'm really going to have a lot of times where we're flying by the seat of our pants, as the expression goes. Just kind of changing and adapting. So I like that. If this was a class of 20 people, I would come in with a lot more rigid of a plan. But yeah, I think there'll be a lot of times, especially if we're in person, and I can get feedback from you a lot easier. And maybe I do decide to open up the mics if we're stuck in Zoom with this all semester. With only 7 students, it might be a little easier. But it's just, when I have classes of 30, it's impossible. Everybody's talking over each other. It just doesn't work. So like I said, maybe I can modify that rule and I can adapt again for this course specifically. 161, given that there's 20 plus students in each of those, we'll definitely stick to no mics in there. Y'all are so quiet. in the chat, not verbally, obviously. You have to be quiet verbally right now. Okay. So this is a nice short day then. Like I said, I figured I could go through all of the syllabus stuff and then my MyMathLab stuff and Canvas stuff a little quicker. There's not really anything to say on Canvas. So we get out a little early today. So we'll see you on Zoom on Thursday at 11 a.m. for this. We'll also see you for the either 8 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. class, whichever you're in, because I know some of you are in one, some of you in the other. And then hopefully by Thursday, we also know whether or not we're going to be in Zoom next week. And if we don't know by Thursday, then just keep an eye on your emails, because the administration should be emailing you and I should be emailing you, letting you know what's up. Thank you very, 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 very much for being adaptable, for being able to tolerate this, this last second change of plans. I hope that we can help you all as much as possible this semester. I hope that we can get passing grades for everybody. I hope that all 7 of you enroll in MyMathLab, or maybe, I think I only had 7 students in here. It might have been 8 or 9. I'm looking real quick. I took a picture last night of my roster. Maybe 1 or 2 have enrolled since then. Yeah, I might have everybody in here right now. So please enroll in MyMathLab. I don't want to delete you over something so silly, over 5 minutes of your time. Go find a computer and do it. You don't do it from a cell phone. MyMathLab doesn't like cell phones or tablets. You're going to need a computer to do it. All right, have a good one. We will see you Thursday twice, and then hopefully we'll know what we're doing for the next week or a couple of weeks. Take care, everybody.